Hello, my ready to writers. Welcome to the classroom. We're here because we are the super sentence stackers and we are going to be working with our words, our sentences, and together we're going to make brilliant writing. All around the UK, we are the super sentence stackers. Okay, my wonderful word weavers, my lively language lovers, we are going to be really thinking about our writing today. Some of you have come to the classroom before, but for some of you it is your first time. And my name is Mrs. Considine and I'm your English writing teacher. I ask you to do tricky things in the classroom, but You always impress me. What do I want you to do in the classroom? Well, the main thing I want you to do is to think hard about the things I'm trying to explain. And I have noticed that the very best writing I see is from children who jot, take notes, and keep records and jottings of all the words and language that might be useful when it comes to writing. Now, before we get started with today's lesson, I really do want to celebrate some wonderful work for yesterday. Yesterday, we were writing a humorous story linked to a swimming pool, and it was a film called Belly Flop. But look at Alicia Cameron's work here. I want to point you to some wonderful things she has done that have really had an impact. If you just look here, you can see she's got jottings and notes and ideas. She's got words like splosh and splash and rumble and whistle. And these are all great gatherings just before writing. I'm now going to have a read of some of her work. It's really humorous and well crafted. And I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit so you can see it even better. Penny, who was climbing like a slug, reached the top. She peered over the top. On her hands and knees crawling, she moved towards the edge. She waved to the older girl who was sniggering at her. Feeling determined, she stands. She stands on the edge of the board. She stands ready to fall. The wind rumbles and grumbles, whooshes and whistles. Wow, Alicia, you have got repetition for effect. You've got alliteration in there, and I love your simile. It's so funny. Alicia, your work was really impressive yesterday. And actually, if you get your work into me by 12:30 today, then you might have a chance of getting on the celebration board. And also take a lead from Alicia, because when you're in the classroom, if you listen and jot, then you've got a better chance of producing high quality work, because great word collectors make great writers. Thank you, Alicia. Okay, I'm going to explain what's going to happen in today's lesson, and we always have a film focus. We choose a short animation, it's not on for long, and today's film is only about 4 minutes long, so it's very short. What is today's film? Well, today's film is Alma, and if you look in the description below, you can find a link to the film. I don't want you to watch it yet. I want you to do that after the lesson. I want you to find somewhere comfortable, cosy. You can bring your pets, you can bring your teddy bear. And I want you to watch the whole film. I want you to take it all in. Then the next thing I want you to do is choose a chunk. Also in the description below, you will find a chunk sheet. Mrs. Considine has imagined what that film would be in 9 crucial parts. I need everybody to choose a plot point. I never want you to write for the whole film, but I do want you to stay in those time boundaries. I'm going to let you know now which chunk I'm choosing, and I'm actually going to choose chunk 4. It's called An Open Door. It's interesting how it does open, and that's what I'm going to write about. I'm letting you know Alma is quite a spooky short animation, and we're also going to be thinking about that, how we can create tension and how we can use gently negative language to create this weird, spooky atmosphere. Okay, now, just so you know, I'm going to set some rules down about what I need you to do on your piece of paper before you hand it in. You need to write your name on your paper. This is my name, so I'm going to write it on my piece of paper. I also need you to write your age, and I need to know which chunk you're writing for. I'm writing for chunk 4. I'm letting you know also that I challenge you to write 9 sentences. You can write less than 9, but I want you to see if you can actually write 9. And every super sentence stacking lesson, I give you 4, oh not 4, Mrs. C, it's a good job I'm not teaching you maths, 3 challenges from the Writing Rainbow. It is really important now that you get a piece of paper, a pencil or a pen, because I need you to be thinking, collecting and jotting. So I've got my piece of paper, I've got my pen, and I am looking out and really interested, especially when you send them in, for your ideas, for your words and phrases. And what I'd like you to do now with me is we're going to have a pens up approach. You're going to jot and gather with me any words, any language, any ideas you can use when it comes to your writing. So, what are today's writing challenges? They always come from the Writing Rainbow. And let's find out what they are today. Today, we are going to think about a technique, and we are going to build a simile in a particular way. We're going to build a simile comparing one thing to something else, and we're going to use this word as to build the comparison. The second thing I'm going to ask you to do is to include a how adverb, how something happens. And you'll notice when we drop in this adverb, it ends in ly. And we're going to have a go at doing that. And we know that actually this little green arrow on this symbol shows us that adverbs can move around in clauses and can go in lots of different positions. The third thing I'm going to ask you to do today is to ask a question. It's going to be a rhetorical question, and we're asking that question, so it'll have a question mark, to draw the reader in. So, those are the 3 writing challenges. I want you now to jot along with me, word collect and gather in readiness for writing. And when you see me soon, I'm going to be doing some demonstration writing. This is where you can see inside my mind. You are going to be able to see my thinking. In fact, you'll see 2 things at once. You'll see me write and talk out loud the process. I will be making my inner thoughts visible, and when I do that, you'll also see me reject words I don't need, and I'll put them in the bin. Okay, everybody, are you ready? Let's get some writing rules. We are going to write a 3rd person narrative, and our central character today is called Alma. So I'm going to make a jot of that, Alma. I also need you to use the pronoun she. Okay, so our first writing challenge is all about simile, but before I do that, I'm going to make some jottings about some things to help me because I am thinking about the door part of the story. Well, it's a shop, and I'm going to just make a note that the shop is locked. I'm just going to make that note. She gets really cross when the door is shut, so I'm going to write cross. She can't get in. That's a bit chatty, but I'm going to write it down. It might give me another idea. She can't get in. And I'm going to probably start with that idea of being cross. I'm going to start in this way with this phrase, in frustration. I'm not quite sure if I want to start with that. Let's do some thesaurus thinking. Okay, let's think. I'm going to put my feeling heart there because I'm going to start with my first idea. Cross, frustration, irritation. Oh, that's good. I like irritation. Rage. That's probably a bit much. In irritation sounds a bit clumsy. Oh, I'm glad I tested that because I thought that was my favourite. I think I'm going to go for frustration. So I'm going to start. In frustration, comma, Alma shapes a snowball, moulds a snowball. Shape's got a nicer rhythm to it, sound to it. Alma shapes a snowball. Oh, I can lead into my simile now. I can compare that snowball to something else. It's really, really icy. So I can think about things that are also really cold. Alma shapes a snowball as icy as... I'm going to do some thinking now about things that are really cold. Let me have a think. The Arctic. Let me write that down. The Arctic. A blizzard. Other things that are cold. Winter. It's probably a bit too close to the kind of snowball already. I probably need to go further out. Avalanche. What about something a little bit more abstract, like a cold mood or a temper? Oh, a temper's a good idea. She's got a bit of a temper, hasn't she? In frustration, Alma shapes a snowball as icy as her temper. Oh, I like that. As icy as her temper, and she throws it at the door. Hurls it, that's even better, and hurls it at the shop door. Let's make it obvious to the reader, full stop. Now, I'm going to gather some ideas for the next bit. She thinks for a bit, she walks away, and something really weird happens. I'm going to write down the word weird, and the door suddenly opens. Oh, suddenly opens. Let me write that down. All of those ideas can help me, you see. I'm going to take that think and I'm going to start with an ing verb. Thinking the shop is closed. Oh, that's a really good subordinating clause. I'm going to drop in the subject now, Alma. Alma begins to walk away. Begins to, yeah, she does it in a sulky way, doesn't it? I'm going to just put walk away for now. Begins to sulk away, doesn't really capture it enough though. Begins to walk away. Then the door opens. Then suddenly the door opens. I don't know if suddenly is the best word though. Let me go to my thesaurus thinking. let me put my little action spot there, thinking about the action words. I'm going to write down suddenly, suddenly, and suddenly the door opens. Weirdly, I had that word earlier, weirdly. Maybe I need it to be more about the strangeness, strangely. Oh, strangely. Oh, I've made a spelling mistake there. Strangely. Hauntingly. Hauntingly. Mysteriously. Oh, I do like all of these adverbs. Mysteriously is good. Hauntingly. Strangely. Let's go back up here. Thinking the shop is closed, Alma begins to walk away. Then, strangely, the door opens. That green arrow tells me I can put that strangely in lots of different places. Alma begins to walk away. Then the door opens strangely. Then the door strangely opens. 3 different places for that strangely. Now, I'm going to ask a question. I could use a modal verb. I'm going to write some of those down. Would, should, could, to start the question. She's brave, isn't she? She goes inside the doll's shop. The doll's shop. There's lots of dolls. The doll shop. I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to call it the doll shop. The doll shop. A place where you can buy dolls. I'm going to start, I think, with should. Should she really? Intensifying that there. Should she really be entering this place, shop? I'm going to put shop, but I want an adjective before shop that has negative intent. Let's go to the shadeometer. What it looks like. Let me get the looking eyes. This strange shop. This bizarre shop. That's a good one. Eerie. Eerie's tricky to spell. I've learnt it. It's got 2 E's. Eerie. This eerie shop. This peculiar shop. Peculiar. They're all good. I actually like peculiar. Let's go back to the writing. Should she really be entering this peculiar? And then instead of shop, it might be better with place. Sounds like it's got more stickability. Should she really be entering this peculiar place? I'm going to go back and reread this now because I'm always a brave speller. I always have to check. Right, let's have illustration. Alma shapes a snowball as icy as her temper and hurls it at the shop door. Thinking the shop is closed, Alma begins to walk away. Then strangely, the door opens. Now, I've got 2 shops very near to each other here, and maybe for cohesion reasons, I need to think about those words, and hurls it at the shop door. Thinking the shop is closed, thinking let's have a look here. I'm going to cross that out. Thinking the place is closed, Alma begins to walk away. Then strangely, the door opens. Should she really be entering this peculiar? Now I've got two places. So I'm going to change this to premises. When you're not doing repetition for effect, for cohesion reasons, sometimes you have to think about more precise nouns. So if I look down this, I've got a shop, a place, a premises, but they're all in the same synonym family, but I don't bore the reader. Thinking the place is closed, Alma begins to walk away, then strangely the door opens. Should she really be entering this peculiar premises? Okay, everybody. What I want you to do now is be very proud of your jottings, and I challenge you to include in your writing a simile, comparing something to something else, an ly adverb, and I'll be looking out for where you drop it because you can move it in a clause. And thirdly, a question. And you could start with a modal verb. Would, should, could, may, might. I love reading your writing. I truly do love it. And I will always read your work. I'll be looking out for a piece of writing that I can celebrate tomorrow, my precious pen pushers. So go forth, write and enjoy, and get your writing into me on Twitter, at Jane Considine, on Facebook, Jane Considine Education, and some of you have found me on Instagram too. I am everywhere. When you send it to me, make sure you hashtag Super Sentence Stackers and tell me your age, and I will take time to read it. I will try my best to comment on some of them. And I'm looking out for my celebration winner for tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy being a super sentence stacker.